Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Galaxy signing in for ComicCon Radio. Coverage of pop culture events from around the globe. Amazing interviews with celebrities. Daily recaps and reviews of popular television. Movie reviews. Everything Comic-Con and fandom from around the globe. ComicCon Radio. Get ready to enter our universe. Let's go.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is your boy Galaxy on another amazing episode of ComicCon Radio. I love you guys so much out there. You guys support us like there's no tomorrow. ComicCon Radio is doing amazing. It's all because of you fans out there. We got a cool guest on today. He is writing books, and they're all related to apocalyptic, zombie, things that I really dig type of stuff. Today we have author and writer Neil Cohen from Exit Zero, New Jersey, Zombie Democracy, and Business is Dead. Welcome, Neil. Welcome to ComicCon Radio.
Thank you for having me. And let me just say, it's your love of the fellow fans that keeps me warm.
That's cool, man. That's cool. Well, today we're going to have fun. Zombie books. What is it about zombies that fascinates you?
I've always been obsessed with zombies, ever since I was a little kid. And I think what it is, honestly, and I'm sure there's plenty of psychiatrists out there that will have a field day at analyzing me if I ever sat on their couch. But it's just, I think it's the genre in totality of the zombie and apocalyptic Goldilocks zone. When you have both zombies and the apocalypse, you've got the perfect elements of the perfect story. Like for me, I'm not that much of a horror fan. Like, I like horror movies, but if it doesn't have zombies in it or it's not apocalyptic, I'm kind of zoning out. You know, there's a lot of other good apocalyptic movies out there, and I'll watch them, and there's a lot of good horror movies, and I'll like them, but it's got to have that element of two great tastes that taste great together, zombies and the apocalypse.
And that's it. Those two are the winning formula for a Neil Cohen book.
And that's, well, let me tell you why I wrote it. Lifelong fan, but I just felt that there was something missing. I felt I had a story to tell that was different. Being obsessed on it and talking about it, I just really felt that a part of the storyline that was often just glossed over was what I wanted to add to this genre, to the canon of zombie works. And so basically for me, I love when it's just starting, when the zombie apocalypse is starting, but you're not quite sure, and people are still in denial, and there's something happening, and people are starting to notice something, but and there's a lot of people saying, stop being ridiculous, there's no zombies, and there's something happening. It's that dread. It's that early stage, life is very, very normal, but something is happening. You're hearing about it on the news, you're seeing it on social media, you're seeing weird things as you're driving the kids to school, and you're like, what the hell is this? There's something going on here. And it starts slowly, and then it starts building, and then suddenly there's incidents, and you're like, you know what? It's just people acting crazy. But then it starts getting more and more, and suddenly, holy cow, this is happening. This is zombie apocalypse beginning. But then what do? In the movies, they kind of jump from that early stage, man, something's happening here. It's real creepy because it's the real life. It's the things that you deal with every day, going to the supermarket, going out to dinner, going to work, going to school, and seeing weird stuff occurring, to the movie jumps then, and suddenly the whole society is collapsed. There's zombies everywhere, and then you're in a different type of storyline. I like that. That's fine. But that time in between it's happening and all society is collapsed is the most interesting time. Like, you get into the scene where they're in the mall and then it's just killing zombies. Or they're now the government has fallen, society has fallen, there's pockets of humanity, they're fighting against each other, they're fighting against zombies, but they're either psychopathic, cannibalistic, strongmen killers, or they're ninja sword wielding zombie assassins. What the hell happened to everybody else? Where's everybody else? Like, where's me? Where was the nurse? Where's the salesman? Where's the lawyer? Did everybody else just die that quickly? No, I don't think we would have. And I think it would have taken a lot more for society to collapse. It would have been years. And for years, there would have been a period of time when man coexisted with zombies. And that's what I address in my book. Exit Zero is the first 48 hours of the zombie apocalypse. The first weekend, well, it's not really the weekend, but the first 2 days of the zombie apocalypse, from I think something's happening to we all know what's happening. In the second book, Nuke Jersey, and I should stress that the first book takes place, Exit Zero, in New Jersey, because where else would the zombie apocalypse begin but New Jersey? Exit Zero is actually a real exit in New Jersey. It's Cape May. In the second book, I have the same core group of characters from the first, but now New Jersey has been sealed off. So the rest of the country knows there is a zombie outbreak, but it's contained to New Jersey at that point. And the rest of the country is kind of trying to figure out what to do, because the people have been sealed off in New Jersey, but they're still alive. New Jersey hasn't fallen. The people in there are going about their life sealed off from the rest of the country and with zombies. And by the third book, Zombie Democracy, the virus has spread nationwide. It is now, everybody knows, it is the zombie apocalypse. There are hundreds of thousands of zombies out there. But again, life goes on. New government bureaucracies, new technologies, new ways of living your life. People are surviving. It's just there's one more thing out there that could kill you every day, and it comes time for the first presidential election post-zombie apocalypse. And each candidate, there's two candidates, has a different platform on what to do with the zombies. And the country has to decide which way to go.
That right there between your first, second, and third book, I can feel what's going on. I dabbled a little bit in your books. Really cool how you squeezed 48 hours in one book, and you gave that essence of what's going on. Earlier we were chatting, I said my first comic book series is coming out, and that's what I'm fascinated with as well. I'm fascinated in the beginning, right at the point where stuff's hit the fan and it just began. Because here's the thing, the zombie lore has been in our world for the past 100 years, 80, 90 years. So I think people these days, because of all the television and things going on, kind of understand what a zombie is and how to kill them. So I like how people like yourself come up with new ways of reintroducing the story and still keeping it fresh and still keeping it cool and still happening in a new way. And I love this New Jersey thing, because people in New Jersey don't take crap. So imagine what they're going to do to these zombies. They're people that mean business. So it's probably interesting to read some of these books and see how they kill these zombies and what kind of ruthless warlord or bureaucrat comes out of these kind of situations.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely New Jersey is a character in the book. I wanted it like Walking Dead, but I want it faster and funnier and in New Jersey. And in my book, there's no mystery. I tell you exactly why the virus was created, what it was meant to do, how it got out into the population, why it affects the infected the way it does, why they look the way they look. In mine, they're very skeletal. They're called skells. And why they do what they do. Why are they attacking and eating people? So there's not any supernatural in my book. I explain the virus, and it's all real stuff. I, of course, you have to stretch the imagination a little bit to make an interesting story, but it's based as close to reality as possible. I've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of first responders and military personnel and government personnel and people from the World Health Organization and HHS and CDC to find out what the hell would happen in this situation. How would people react? How would the government react? And what type of virus could come the closest to a zombie-like virus? And all that is brought into all three books. So I hope that there's a real strong element of reality in there. I have spent the last 20 years working as a defense contractor in what we call the CBRNE world, which is chem, bio, rad, nuke. That is my focus for the past 20 years. So I've had amazing access to people who are subject matter experts in this. I've incorporated that into the trilogy. So I hope that people, find it a funny read. You know, it's definitely not a serious trilogy. I wanted to make it entertaining. There's some violence in it as a zombie. There's some sadness in it, but overall, it is meant to be fun and funny, entertaining.
Do you feel that the zombie apocalypse or an apocalypse might happen? Because here's the thing. When I read that you've been actually working in Washington, D.C., and you created this firm that focuses on counter WMD, mass casualty, civil unrest, terrorism response, all these kind of things, and you work with military people and you do this and that, do you maybe think in your mind that a apocalypse or a zombie type of situation might happen?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, I want to stress, truth be told, it's not my firm. I worked for the firm, but I wish I created it, but I have been there 19 years. So,
nice.
But yes, it absolutely could happen. And it's not reanimated corpses, though those are scary as hell. But there are absolutely viruses out there, and there are psychotropic drugs that could make a very similar scenario to a full-scale zombie apocalypse. The one book that a lot of people refer to in the government is the book 1 Second After. Is it 1 second after, 1 second later? I gotta get that right. But it's a story about an electromagnetic burst, and it follows one man in a small North Carolina town after the entire United States had an electromagnetic pulse that wipes out all electronics, and it follows him for a year and a day. The government, a lot of the government have read that book, and they, because that is one of the things that they're really afraid of. But with the zombies, I can't tell you how many military and state and local organizations have had zombie-themed exercises because it is the ultimate black swan event. You have mass pandemic, you have civil unrest, you have violence, you have hospital systems being both overrun while the hospital personnel are not showing up because they're staying home out of fear for their own family. You have most likely collapse of some parts of the infrastructure, the electrical grid, transportation systems being shut down. So all the things that could happen in individual type scenarios would happen as a unified scenario under a zombie virus type event.
Well, I took a look into that book a while ago. It's called 1 Second After. It's by William R. Forstchen.
Yes.
And he wrote about, what would happen if some kind of major catastrophe happens. It's pretty crazy. When you read these books, things can happen. And I know some people might say, wow, you guys are nuts thinking that this might happen. Like you said, it might not be a zombie or a reanimated corpse, but there's things out there that can affect the humans even worse than a zombie, and you're living and you go cuckoo and nutso, or just diseases that could just wipe out locations. I think these kind of books that you write really show a light on this, and we have to take it serious. And especially you work at a firm that actually does this on a daily basis.
Well, a number of things. One, we focus on resiliency, and resiliency is both government and a civilian resiliency. So there's certain themes that are over and over again, which probably are not going to happen. Like I said, the government falling. I tell you, the government is a massive friggin' bureaucracy that sustains itself and exists to exist. I think it would take 100 zombie apocalypses before the U.S. government actually fell. It is not going to fall. It will stay there. We all may die, But trust me, the government ain't
Yeah, they'll
shutting
be somewhere
down.
chilling, hanging out, and
They'll figure out how to collect taxes from the rest of us surviving people too. So what we do is we do a lot of exercises, a lot of scenario development. We support both commercial entities and the federal government, state and local government. We also do a lot for international governments. We recently just did a large-scale, week-long exercise for a Middle East nation where we put all the senior leadership into a room for 4 days, and we did a continuity of government with a bio-pandemic that if their nation got hit with such a virulent event, a pandemic, influenza that had a high mortality rate, how would they maintain government operations? And so those are the things we do, and we're thinking about this stuff all the time. We have to come up with scenarios, but we're really looking to strengthen the mental muscles of our government leadership to think outside the box here and always be prepared, not be fighting yesterday's fire. Start thinking what could be coming that I'm not even thinking about. And for us, for you and I, who are authors, that's what we're trying to think about. It'd be pretty boring writing, the same story over and over, or writing the same scenario. For instance, mine, like I said, there's no supernatural in mine. Mine are not reanimated corpses. They are living infected. I always say they're living addicted because, without giving too much away, the virus has a very specific interaction with the human body, which causes it to digest all its human tissue. And that's why they're walking around like skeletons, but then they have to constantly seek out and consume more tissue, like literally like addicts. They can't control themselves, that they are, beyond saving. They can't be cured, and they're extremely dangerous. But in my books, you can't just go kill them. It's not like The Walking Dead where you just walk in and say, okay, there's 50 zombies there. Let's everybody split them up and kill them. No, these are still American citizens. They are living American citizens. They are sick. They are extremely dangerous, but they are human beings who are citizens, and you as another citizen can't just go up and start killing them unless your life is in absolute peril. And you can't just purposely put yourself in peril and then kill them. The law is very specific in my book. So the government has to come in and remove them and take care of them, and they develop bureaucracies to handle that. You can't just say, oh, I killed my wife. She was infected. I know she was, so I killed her. You can't. And then they have to figure out what they're going to do with these people. They've committed no crime. So in the beginning, knowingly committed no crime. They may have killed, or some may have turned but not yet killed. And people start protesting in the beginning when they want to put them in prison because they said, what crime have they committed? So what do you do when you have a population that is extremely dangerous, extremely lethal, extremely contagious, but do you just skip all due process and just ship them off? And then if you do, to where? Where do you house them? Or do you kill them? How do you kill them? Remember, you're killing tens of thousands of people. Do you do it humanely? How can you possibly do that? So all these come up in my books, and they're all trying to figure out what to do with these people. I had a conversation internally the other day. We were talking about Typhoid Mary. This was the story. She was a cook, and everybody got typhoid, and they found out that she was giving it to everybody because she was contagious, but not symptomatic. She was a carrier. She carried typhoid and passed it to everybody. And so they locked her away in a hospital, and then eventually she was let out because they thought it's done. And next thing you know, another massive typhoid outbreak, and it turned out she was the cook again. She was the cook at the hospital where the typhoid broke out. And so they had to lock her up again on a little island until she died. She committed no crime knowingly. She was asymptomatic. She didn't know she had this. She wasn't out trying to poison and kill people. She was just living her life and trying to support herself. But she was a non-symptomatic carrier of a lethal disease. What would you do if we had thousands of people now who were asymptomatic carrier of a extremely virulent virus, and yet these people did nothing. It was by no fault of their own. Your kids, your wife, your husband, what do you do with them? You can't just let them walk the streets, but you can't kill them. Can't put them in prison. They've committed no crime. So those are the kind of really cool like things to think about. And I cover in my book, but I don't get too philosophical. I wanted it to be fun, but I wanted it to be realistic. In my book, I'll just say there's one guy that tries to be a Negan governor type character and thinks he's going to come into a town and take it over. And things don't go well for him. It doesn't last that long.
They serve him up.
It's turning into Negan or turning into the governor isn't that easy, finds out.
That's a crazy story about that typhoid situation. That was a real story, and that really happened. That's pretty crazy.
Nowadays we could cure, but what happens tomorrow when some emerging disease comes out that we don't have a cure for, and it's lethal? And say a lot of people are carrying it. What do you do with those people? If no fault of their own, they became exposed to something, and thus in the general population, they could lead to a mass extinction event. So they can't be allowed to walk around. They're Americans. They're citizens. What do you do with them? And we don't know.
Have you heard of any stories or anything of things happening where the government's covered it up?
Yeah, in the conversation, I was told that this has happened and there has been circumstances, but that we've never heard about it. I don't know about that. That might have just been bravado talking. I've never heard of anything like it. I've never heard of a disease like that currently happening, but someone told me that there was, but I would take that with a grain of salt.
That's pretty crazy. A lot of people, when Zombie Survival Guide came out, a lot of people thought those stories were real, where certain things happened in a barn and they wiped it out. This camera crew went on a shoot and they all got killed, and then the government came and covered it up, and then later people found out that it was just all fake and it was just stories. But the way it's presented, there's a lot of people that are in a hairline of a gap waiting to believe, and they're just waiting for it. Do you think that a lot of these books feed into that, and you're creating a lot of believers from things that are just fiction in your mind? I know you've done research, and I know you work for a company that does counter stuff against these situations.
Well, listen, there's a wee bit of paranoia is good for any person. I think it was Dell that said only the paranoid survive. People do have to prepare themselves. Anyone who's walking through life thinking, oh, the government's here to protect me and take care of me, or everything's going to be fine, it's not the best way. You don't want to be buried in your basement with a shotgun and canned goods and a tinfoil hat on your head, but a healthy dose of preparedness and resiliency for anyone, even when it comes down to the very simple of I live here right outside Washington, D.C., and I've got 2 kids, and they go to 2 different schools. One's in high school, one's in grade school. My wife works in one place, I work in another. And what would happen if there was a massive terror attack? What happens if the roads are shut down and we couldn't get to our home? Where would we meet? We should have plans. You should talk about that stuff ahead of time. Like, hey, if this happens, you're going to go get this kid. I'm going to get this kid. If we can't reach each other through phone, we know you get that kid, I'll get this kid. We meet at this location. We don't have to coordinate. We've planned that out. There's no harm in having plans like that because, even down here, there could be a massive snowstorm and everything goes down. I've had situations where just, we've had, snow, close the schools early, and my wife and I were both in meetings, and suddenly we're getting texts that they're closing the school and the roads are quickly becoming impassable. And what do? Holy cow. So that kind of stuff is always good. But, you hear about stories that are just fantastical, and that they're, people being assassinated, and you're like, wow, that's great fiction. I enjoyed reading that story. And then the real stories come out. You got the guy, Kim Jong-il, who killed his own brother by convincing 2 women that they were in a reality TV show, and they were supposed to go up with these gloves and wipe VX on his face. Now, they didn't know it was VX. I don't know what they were told it was, but they were supposed to go up with these gloves and wipe this on his face, thinking that they were on a reality TV show. And they assassinated this guy with a virulent chemical weapon, VX. Holy cow. Who would have thought that's real? And then, right now, what are we talking about? Jeffrey Epstein. The guy knows every powerful person there is, and suddenly, oops, he was allowed to kill himself, but it looks like he was strangled now, because now with all the autopsy, and oops, the guards just happened to be off, and oops, the camera was not working, and oops, his cellmate was transferred out 48 hours before. Holy cow. If I wrote that in a book, that people would throw it away and say, this guy sucks as a writer. It's too ridiculous.
It's too easy, too ridiculous. It's like laid out too perfect.
He should have came up with a better scenario than they put the guy in jail and the two guards accidentally fell asleep.
It's like an episode of Law and Order.
Exactly. But yet it happened. Well, we all know what happened. This guy was taken out. He was a powerful guy. He was taken out. So anyone who thinks that, oh, that's ridiculous, no, it happened, man. So that's what people should be ready for. But like I said, I don't want anyone burying themselves in the basement. Don't invest in the bunker unless you really, really want one, because they're fun, but you don't have to buy one yet. And live your life, but keep aware of your surroundings.
You're
and
just
be
saying, you're
skeptical.
basically saying be skeptical, be aware of your surroundings, make a plan if you have children, because you never know what might happen. Keep your eyes open, keep your mind open, and sometimes take things with some knowledge that it might happen. I believe in so many I believe in everything. I'm like,
and you're getting this for free, baby.
There you go. And then this opened up my mind.
Even if you don't have kids, I'm a big animal lover, so don't forget your pets too. If you better have a plan. If Fido is at home and you and your girlfriend are both at work and something happens and neither of you can get home for 48 hours, who's going to take care of Fido there? So have a plan for the pet too.
Wow, that's fascinating. Your books are fascinating, but you made your 3 books. They're about New Jersey, and then you created this book recently that's called
Business is Dead.
Business is Dead. So what's that about?
All right, so Business is Dead takes a different track. Business is Dead, Resurrecting Entrepreneurship is all about the people I have met over the past 4 years of going out and promoting my books. So I go out to all the Comic-Cons, pop culture cons, horror cons, and I sell my books. That's what I enjoy doing. I love going out. I love having a booth. I love meeting the fans. I love just talking about pop culture nonsense. I love talking the zombie genre, but I can talk other genres too. I'm a big fan of Game of Thrones. And I met all these other vendors just like me who were really super fans. And I always thought to myself, a lot of times I'll meet fans at these shows and they were like, I just paid $200 and waited 4 hours online to meet celebrity such and such from this show. And I wanted to bounce some ideas off him. And he looked at me like I had 3 heads. And I said, he's in that show. He's an actor. Next week, he may be in Shakespeare in the Park. Doesn't make him a Shakespeare expert. Just because you're in The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones or Supernatural doesn't make you a super fan of the genre. He's an actor filling a role, and he is not the character you see on TV. He's a real person. Now, he may be an interesting guy, and he may be a super fan, but don't be so crestfallen when you want to talk to him about the minutia or your theories of the show and he doesn't get it. You want to talk to a super fan, you talk to the vendors. Go to Artist Alley, the guys that are drawing pictures, sculptures, paintings, other services, baking around that genre are fellow super fans. If you want to have a conversation, talk to them. And I said, so in my conversations with them, I heard so many stories just like mine. Like I full-time day job, nothing to do with zombies. When I first wrote my books, people were like, you got to write under a fake name. I said, no, I'm going to publish under my name, Neil Cohen. They said, oh my God, how are you going to do that? You've got an MBA, you're a professional, you've got these clients. They're not going to look at you seriously. They're going to, think you're ridiculous. I said, well, you know what? I'm going to do it. It's what I feel passionate about. I'm going to do it. And just the opposite. People loved it, loved it, loved it. Every meeting I attend, people who hear about it want to hear when they meet with me about the books. And I've met so many people at these shows that say, Neil, I do these paintings. I'm an accountant, or I'm a lawyer, or I'm the CFO of a company, but I'm really obsessed with XYZ TV show and I do paintings on it, or I spend my weekends giving tours of where they shoot the show. And no one I know knows this about me. If I would never share with my clients or my coworkers that on the weekends I'm at a con dressed up in cosplay or selling my paintings. And I was like, why? Like, man, that's a big part of their life there. And they're just keeping it to a secret. And they're so interesting. So I went to one of the cons I was at and I said, you know what? I want to do a panel session and I want to bring 6 vendors on stage and I want to interview them about their obsession of this show and how they became, launching their first company, their entrepreneurship, their artistic venture, their philanthropic venture. And they said, well, we've never done anything like that. We generally have celebrities, but let's give it a shot. So I did it. And the reaction was huge. They packed the place. And they're like, Neil, we have A-level stars that don't bring in that many con attendees to a panel session. So I went back to my publisher. I said, this is an interesting area, FANtrepreneurs. People who are obsessed with pop culture, who are obsessed with a television show and want to be part of it, want to be more than a fan, want to be in the realm, painting, sculpting, touring, a charity, raising money, dressing up, whatever they want, but they want to be more. They want to be involved in it and do a little business. And if they never make $1, that's fine for them because it gets them out there talking to other fans. And these are the people I wrote about in my book, FANtrepreneurs, people that launch these different companies, different ventures, love going out, love talking to other people who are super fans like them. Some of them will never make $1. Some of them have become multimillionaires. But the point is that as a FANtrepreneur, you've got to kind of go into this not saying, oh, I want to become rich or I want to quit my job. You have to go into this saying, I just want to be around fans. I want to contribute to this muse, whatever it is. Like for me, pop culture and fandom is so broad. It's tough to boil it without boiling the ocean. So I just picked 12 people who were big fans of The Walking Dead and who launched their business with a Walking Dead theme around it. But the book is not about The Walking Dead. The book is about whether you are a fan of any genre, how to launch, where to move forward, and how to kind of get that first time getting out there and figuring out what you want to do.
That's actually smart because there's nothing like that out there. And there's a lot of people that are so talented that can make good money. You're not guaranteeing them anything. You're just saying, hey, you like this, here's a way you can do better, here's my experience, and you give everybody else's stories. That's a pretty cool thing. You did a really good job with that.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's exactly it. Like I had so many people come to me and say, Neil, I've been working on a book for 7 years. Or Neil, how do you get started? I'm painting every weekend, but like, how do you get started? How did you get a booth here at this con? How did you set up to sell your stuff? How did you find a publisher? All the simple stuff. I tell people in the beginning of my book, I'm not here to guide you on the financials of running a business, the legalities of running a business, how to do the accounting and all that kind of stuff. There's 1,000 million books out there that help you do that. I know that I want to be part of this fandom. I want to be more than just a fan, but I don't know what to do. I may not have talent. I may not be able to draw or write or sing or dress up in costume, but I want to do it. Well, I have people in there that started baking very cool cakes and cookies associated with the show. I had another person in there who just started doing tours of the locations where they filmed it, and now her business is exploding. I had another person that started a charitable event. They both work full time, but they wanted to raise money for charity, and so they started a charitable event every year that's focused on the show, and all fans from the show come out and they raise money for different charities. So there's so much you can do to get into your fandom, to share your passion with other people and be involved, instead of just kind of being isolated, be involved with other people. And you don't have to worry about going out and saying, well, I'm going to make money. I tell people in the beginning of the book, don't quit your job. If you're miserable at your job and miserable at your life and say, I'm going to do this to change my job to life and quit my job. No, kill that idea. That's not what this is about. If you are an artist and you're creating weird dolls and you love making these weird dolls, say you're really into the horror community, and you put them online and one person buys your dolls and is not a friend or family member, someone across the other side of the planet saw it and says, I like that aesthetic and I want to buy that, then you're a friggin' success, man. You produce something that you found and someone else bought it. It doesn't have to be a mass success. It doesn't have to be a mass appeal. But if you want just to find other people that share your passion, no matter how weird it is, man, this is a way to do it.
That's a cool way to put it. And you're probably helping a ton of people because you go to many different conventions. You're all over the place. You're promoting your books, promoting this way of life, these great ideas, keeping an open mind. Where does it go from here for you?
Well, right now, the book comes out October 1st, so I'm excited. When you write these books, it's kind of like getting pregnant. Once it's done, you sit and you wait until it comes out. The publishing process is very long. You wait, and I'm distributing to Simon & Schuster, and it'll be in Barnes & Noble nationwide October 1st. But you get your slot 8 to 9 months ahead of time, and they say, this is your release date, and then you just sit and wait. So I'm getting close, October 1st. It can be pre-ordered now at businessisdead.com, or if you go and find it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, you can pre-order it. But October 1st is the release date. I will be at a bunch of different cons. I'm going to be at the Living Dead weekend in Monroeville, Pennsylvania, or Erie, Pennsylvania. I'll be at the Living Dead weekend at the end of September. And then I'll be at New York City ComicCon in the beginning of October. Then I'll be at Walker Stalker Con in Atlanta at the end of October, and that's a Walking Dead themed. Then I'm doing Sopranos Con in November up in New Jersey, and that's a very niche fandom, people who are fans of the show Sopranos. So I figured, that's cool. I'm going to do that. Then I'm doing a bunch of others in 2020. I'll be bouncing around doing a whole bunch of cons. I'm looking to get on speaking sessions at cons. So any of the listeners out there want to book me, I would love to do panel sessions at different cons. So that's the goal.
Are you going to be at New York Comic-Con?
Yeah, New York City Comic-Con. I do not have a booth. I am there because I'm such a industry expert. I actually got a professional pass this year, just bragging there for a bit. So I'll be there. Professionally, I'll be there on Thursday, meeting with a lot of different vendors. I'm going to try to set up some interviews and talking with a lot of vendors. And then I'm back on Sunday as a civilian with a wife and kids and walking the floor, enjoying it just as a vacation. So we always go up to New York City Comic-Con, and we do a lot of local ones. There's Awesome Con here down in DC. That's our version of New York City Comic-Con. And then I'm hoping to do others, that I really want to get out there and get into others. I've been doing a lot of horror cons and Walker Stalker, Walking Dead cons, but I want to try to branch out into other fandoms and experience fans from other genres out there.
And on a daily basis, you do government stuff against situations like this. So what more can they want from a person other than like yourself? You do these things, then you write about these things, and you help people with these things. So, hey, you got these things under the wrap.
And I tell you, one last thing, I'll just throw in a little more self-fluffery here. I do have over 30 years of sales and business development experience. So one of the things I've noticed when I do cons, because I do trade shows for my company, and I would go to cons and I would see these incredibly talented people who are artists and authors, but generally they were introverts. And I see them, they've spent a lot of money and they've put in a lot of effort to have this booth and to show their wares, and then they don't know what to do because they're shy and they're not outgoing and they're missing opportunities. So you spend $300, $400, $500, $600 for a booth and then just blow it in the execution. And I give a lot of advice in my book for existing trade show con people about how to return more investment from when you put that effort and time into being at a con like New York City Comic-Con, and how to really engage both before the con, during the con and then following up after the con. So, ultimately, like I said, it's all about passion. But you do want to make some money here and you want to keep it successful. And I help you with the advice on making the most out of your time as a vendor at a con.
So, ladies and gems, if you want to pick up his books, this is author and writer Neil Cohen, strategist, government apocalypse situation guru. This is the man to talk to because he lives it, writes it, loves it, and he wants to share it. This is Neil Cohen, Exit Zero, Nuke Jersey, Zombie Democracy, and Business is Dead, which is all about the business in our universe.
And can I give anyone can follow me. It's at Exit Zero Zombie, spelled out, at Exit Zero Zombie. That's on Instagram, that's on Twitter, and that's on Facebook, at Exit Zero Zombie. You'll find me. And the website is businessisdead.com.
Get a hold of you on Instagram, Twitter, email, and each one of your books have their own domain. So Exit Zero's Exit Zero Zombie, Nuke Jersey's nukejersey.com, Zombie Democracy, zombie-democracy.com, and Business is Dead is businessisdead.com. Get a hold of Neil, say what's up. He'll probably even help you for nothing. I don't know what he'll charge you, but just reach out, see what's up. See what he can do for you. Neil, my man, I love the conversation.
Hey, man, I love to work with you guys. You guys are awesome.
Thank you so much, Neil. Is there anything else you want to tell the fans before we head out?
Nope. Stay safe. Keep those eyes open and follow me at businessisdead.com and at Exit Zero Zombie. That's it. Love to hear from you.
Okay, guys, you heard it here first. Neil Cohen at Exit Zero Zombie. Reach out. And with that said, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is your boy Galaxy, and we're signing out from another amazing episode of ComicCon Radio with Neil Cohen. Neil, you ready? We got to blow kisses, man. This is the light side of it. Ready? 3, 2, 1, mwah.
Mwah.
You're a serious dude. To get that out of you, that's pretty cool, man. I really appreciate it, and peace.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Galaxy signing out from another amazing episode of ComicCon Radio. Tune in for your daily shows of ComicCon Radio. Go to comicCon-radio.com. Reach us on social media. Instagram at ComicCon Radio. ComicCon Radio, taking the world one listener at a time.